Thank you so much, ADR, for inviting me. And thank you for posing these questions to a human rights organization and also one of the petitioners of the right to know, which came in 2003 with, every voter having the right to have the right to know what is the candidate's education levels, what is the candidate's wealth status, movable, immovable property, wife, family, etc., and also regarding criminality. However, there's been a dilemma right from the beginning regarding all these three. For instance, even at that point of time, we had said that it's more important to know the education of the parents of the candidate because education has taken years and years to reach people. And, it's even today, the number of Adivasi women or Adivasi men who are accessing education is still remains small, very small. So at that point of time, we had said that it's very important, this should be added uh, in the form. Secondly, regarding criminality, even then there was a dilemma regarding, the system. What about dissenters? What about criminalization of dissent? And even at that point of time, we had said that how will the public distinguish between a case that is being put against you because you're a dissenter, and how will they realize that this is can we actually discuss that this is a different case and this is a different case? So while you need to give some sort of leeway to this political opposition person, his case may be a false case. And so even at that point of time, we had questions regarding this, and it was debated amongst us. And I think later, I think the question whether at the charge sheet stage itself we need to disqualify people, that matter went up, I think, to a constitutional bench. And the constitutional bench did not say that don't do it, said you could consider, and it remains there itself. However, our position in the PUCL has changed. Okay, let me not say PUCL. A section of our organization would like to have some sort of, we want this collective, and particularly ADR. And let me tell you why ADR is very, very important for us, because we use all your reports. We don't have to do that work. We are all volunteers of the human rights movement, so we don't have staff, we don't have to go through those affidavits. Earlier we used to go through this. I remember preparing precisely on various criminality and others, some analysis. But now we get, because of you, and it's so good, right at the onset of the campaign, we do this press conference with you. All that is really, really good, and we use all your documents and go to the people, because ours is also going back to the people. We are not a political party, we are a minuscule, we are not a mass organization, we're a very, very small organization, but we do go to the people. So it also becomes very important, the documents you give us. However, there is this question that we now need to ask. And since we have people like Mr. Qureshi, and we have all of you who've been thinking, and parties representative who think day and night on this issue much more than us, is the weaponization of the criminal justice system against the not just the political opposition, but and not just dissenters, but all those who question. There is a weaponization of the criminal justice system. Whether an FIR will be lodged or not lodged, whether a charge sheet will happen or not happen, and whether the pace at which a trial will move, even that is extremely determined. It's because the police was always subservient. We had Prakash Singh Badal case where they wanted to liberate the police of the political system. It never happened. We had Prashant as one of our speakers. He was also a petitioner and intervener in it. There have been 8-9 reports. So the police was never independent. However, we still felt that there was justice happening I mean, I've worked with the criminal justice system for the last 30 years consistently, and I would still go with a lot of hope that something will happen. I mean, I wouldn't say the whole system in Rajasthan, at least, which is my Karam Bhumi, is totally vitiated. No, we used to get a lot of work done. We also thought that the administration would do fair inquiries or whatever. And the judiciary, we thought, yeah, maybe a third of our cases just get, there's a travesty of justice. I mean, we have all witnessed Bhavri Devi and all that. But today, I am really not sure with the way the whole judiciary is also being weaponized against activists, and the police has become even more subservient, and the kind of campaign-led criminality that is determined by the media and social media campaigns against people. Can we just say that he is a prisoner of conscience, so you should vote him? She was a dissenter, so she had a case. I think it's getting more and more difficult. Even if, am I there? Am I audible?
Yes, we can
Major
hear
General
you.
Barma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Madam, we can hear you.
Yeah. So with a fair system, I mean, the kind of proposals you have brought up, like say, let's take the proposal of tainted. I think we all know the case against, I mean, I know Dr. Binayak Sen, the first case as dissenters, PUCL vice president, he was booked. I know he is completely innocent, but there has been a conviction, life sentence for sedition. Similarly, Umar Khalid, there's been 55 cases of murder of 55 people, 55 attempt to murder of 150 people. We know it's all rubbish. We know it that the whole case is abdicated. However, will the taint ever come out? The taint remains in some, and the taint does not. We campaigned for against Brij Bhushan Singh or Ateni, just in the last elections. So Brij Bhushan Singh, because there was so much of public outcry, they didn't give him. They gave his son, but he won the election. Everybody knows who won the election. So I feel, and I'm only, in order to highlight my case, I'm stating this, but the way minorities, particularly Muslims, are being criminalized, Adivasis, because it's become tooth and nail to protect your resources, and we are seeing a war at one level. So it's in this context that we have to look at criminality, which I mean, all of us work towards bringing wanting the public to know that, look at this is the crime that the person has committed. So as far as we are concerned, there are two things. One is that disclosure has to be absolute. You have to disclose. It's very good that we have it. But I don't think at this stage we can agree that ban the person 10 years, 15 years. I don't think we can. That will really, really be, I mean, George Fernandez was in jail and he fights and wins, and so many. I mean, look at Omar Rashid from Kashmir. And look at the other side, Rahul Gandhi. I wonder, I mean, I didn't hear the whole of Mr. Gogoi because there was a situation where I had to be in the first few minutes. I mean, Rahul Gandhi is convicted for a minor case in little time, even before he can appeal. The parliament procedure of revoking his membership and getting him to empty out his house also. It moved like this. Again, you will say, well, there will be exceptions, there will be some. But I think it's very important to understand how this system can be weaponized. I mean, what about Kejriwal? They came totally on an anti-corruption movement. And finally, Kejriwal goes to case on precisely, I mean, so some will go in corruption, some will go in sedition, somebody like Harsh Mandar. Every agency, I'm not saying he's going to fight elections, but they could use every agency against him, whether it's CBI, whether it's ED, whether it's IT. And finally, what they're going to do with it, we don't know. But definitely it won't be UAPA, we're very clear, or sedition. It's going to be corruption, So I feel we have to pause, Major General Verma. I think you people have to continuously ask us these questions. We cannot leave it hanging. It has to be there. And secondly, this question of yours, this question that you've posed to all of us, it's a public question now. I've already sort of posted these questions to everybody in PUCL, including Mr. Sanjay Parikh, who was the lawyer then with Justice Satcher. I said, answer this and give. The other question is that we as an organization have to take all of this to the people. And I think I just heard you say that what is the onus on the judiciary, on the executive? But when the judiciary and the executive doesn't listen to you, when the judiciary and executive is itself, we've seen bulldozer justice in a particular way. This is our context. And the judiciary never heard it. 5 years or 7 years later, they've taken cognizance. I think we need to take, like your reports, in a small way, we make parchas and take to the people. We have to take all these questions also to the people. I think you have posed these questions to the people of India. Tell us, are we going to continue with this? Are we, is the criminal rule, the lawbreaker being the lawmaker now? Who's the lawbreaker? That is the uljan I have. That's my dilemma, So I would try to conclude by saying that what you have initiated is a debate. You and I cannot, maybe you can answer. You all are into it on a daily basis. But I, or our organization, look at the larger context of human rights in order to understand our, defining and something especially like criminality. Like we always say in the Civil Liberties movement, that civil liberties is the bedrock of democracy. Secularism is the bedrock of democracy. Similarly, I think this push for honest legislators, this push for, we don't want bullies, we don't want murderers. But again, I'm talking with a certain question mark. Some of our friends there were false cases. So I end here by saying that these are larger questions that we have to pose to the public. You have initiated it in a small way. It should go into the parliament. It should go into all platforms which are where democratic rights are being discussed. Look at the hate speech. So I conclude by saying that will we give more power to the state? It's the state power which is something that we are critical of. Will we give more power to the state to disqualify, qualify? I'm not even talking about the CEC, because at this point of time, CEC is merged in a way with the executive. CEC is not independent. That's something that we need to wrest CEC out of it. That should be a simultaneous kind of job that we need to do. So I can make my points.
So you're muted.
Yeah, I have muted myself. Am I audible now? Okay, thank you, Kavita, for your views. Very clear. But the dilemma still remains. If the judiciary is not going to do anything, if the executive is not going to do anything, and if the onus is entirely on the civil society organization, then we will never succeed, because for the simple reason, the public, the common people, as the politicians have said, they don't take criminality seriously. So where are we? Are we going to continue like this? And the question remains, one of the focus points, does this affect good governance?
It does. It absolutely does. I think corruption is a very, very good issue, but a very big issue. But the onus is on the public. In the public, we have to make the government accountable. We cannot keep adding more power to the state. We have to make state accountable, and that only the public can do. Parliament as an institution is almost over, and all these. So the public has a major role at this crossroads. The civil society brought these laws and gave it to the public, and we moved quite a bit. But at that point, the context was slightly different. In today's context, the public really has to decide. I'm not saying civil society. Our role is to take these questions. Our role is to bring clarity. Our role is to understand how it happened globally and share. There's a major role. But at the end of the day, the Indian public has to decide. Otherwise, there's not much that we can do.
Okay, thank you. Nandini, do we have any question for Kavita? We can take one before she leaves. Yeah, again, this is from Afreen. What are some of the countries you would like India to learn from human rights side of governance? What are some of the countries you would like India to learn from human rights side of governance?
So I think Scandinavian countries have had accountability systems. I think basically all those countries where you can make, ours is like colonial legacy, so we don't have accountability systems where we can make the state accountable. Like say for instance, RTI was a law which empowered the people against the state, and now that also we are losing. So all those countries, and I think some of the best examples are the Scandinavian countries. I remember going to Brazil just for this, looking at their governance on food issues. That is about a decade ago, and some very, very good systems that put in place as far as people's accountability was concerned. Not just the kind of policies and plans they had, but they had the kind of accountability that was worked towards. So in some element, I won't say every country is the best, but some systems in some countries we need to learn from. South Africa also we need to learn. So these are some of the things, but in our country, I feel we did learn from other countries. We need to, say for instance, bring in the accountability law, something that the Rajasthan civil society groups have been, for the last 10 years, we have been taking this, that this is part 2 of RTI. We need the accountability law for all platforms of governance. And it's only accountability, those governance systems we need to bring in. It's not just that you have a model citizen, our people are not even enabled to become citizens. When women have agency and they start taking decisions, the state, say for instance, the right to choice, and she is expressing her autonomy through her citizenship and wants to marry somebody of her choice. We know how heavily the police and the executive comes in to assist the family to prevent all that. We keep hearing about it every day. So it's also a struggle to become citizen. So that kind of governance in which I get these platforms to ask questions, to make accountable. Those are some of the questions that we have to ask. There is no shortcut, Major General Verma. This criminality cannot be done through laws. We have to work very hard with the people. That's something that I'd like to say. And we have done it. It's not that we've not done it.
Thank you, Kavita ji. Thank you so much.